Hey, 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 and welcome to Leadershipization, all things leadership. I'm Beth Bergen. I'm a global leadership and communication coach, and I work with executives, managers, business owners, and I often work with their teams as well. And it's all about leadership and communication, both in your personal life and in your working life. So I'm here most every Tuesday at 1 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time or 2 p.m. Australian Eastern Daylight Time. Now, over the last few weeks, we've been spending time talking about different styles of leadership. And my goal in doing this is to have you actually start to get familiar with what are the various aspects of each of those leadership styles, so that what you can do is to determine which parts of those do I want to add to my leadership toolkit? Which parts of those do I actually want to be building or experimenting with and building the skills in? So it's all about who you actually are as a leader. What we've done is we've looked at transactional, which is very results driven and has a lot of accountability behind it. We've also looked at autocratic, which is really one person who makes all the decisions, which of course totally disempowers others. We've looked at transformational, which is when you're building a really great team environment where there's a great culture. We've looked at democratic, which is the most popular leadership style. And this is where everyone has equal say, and you've got a lot of success with this if you've got a really committed, engaged, and dynamic kind of a team. And we've also looked at servant leadership, which is all about the needs of the employee and empowering those needs. So it's all about what it is that best suits the employee. Today, what we're going to have a look at is three others. We're going to look at charismatic, a coaching style of leadership, and also a bureaucratic style of leadership. And then what I'll do is I'll share with you some tips about how you might be able to adapt your style in different situations. Because what we've been learning along the way is that each of these has its place. Each of these has its place. For example, autocratic is really useful if one person is making the decisions, when a big project is coming to a deadline, when there's some kind of disaster management happening, one person making all of the decisions is an awesome way to go. You don't need to have time. You don't need to take the time to have a committee meeting. So let's look at charismatic. Okay, with charismatic, here you have to be a really skilled communicator, and you need to have a really clear vision about what it is that you're wanting to achieve. So it's almost similar to transformational, except that it motivates much more through an emotional connection. There's that emotional connection because the charismatic leader is able to arouse really strong emotions and provide a very compelling vision for their team. So a charismatic leader is always able to connect with audience emotions and has a very persuasive storytelling style that creates positive beliefs in the audience or in the team. They're really good at inspiring action. Like they're kind of focused on the outcomes, and they ask lots and lots of questions and listen really closely. Now, what can happen here is because this charismatic leader has so much energy and is so persuasive, you have to be careful that you're not quickly burning out your staff because they just can't keep up with you. You've got to have some kind of employee recognition and appreciation. You need to make sure that you're bringing your people along on the journey with you. So it's important that as a charismatic leader, you're celebrating every single milestone, the small ones and the longer ones. You must also watch for fatigue and burnout in your team. As I said, it's hard work for them to keep up with you. So imagine if you're working for a charismatic leader and you just don't have the energy that they have. Charismatic leadership is best suited to someone who is naturally a big personality or naturally has great communication skills, naturally is a storyteller, and naturally is persuasive. Because if you don't have those skills naturally, it's a really big ask to develop the skills to get good at being a charismatic leader. The other thing to remember for charismatic leaders is that you're not actually bigger than the team. It's not all about you as the leader, and you must make sure that you're providing some actual focus onto the tasks, that it's not just all about that big vision. It's actually about the tasks. That's the first one, charismatic for today. Coaching style of leadership. This is all about empowering people, identifying and nurturing individual strengths. It's about doing this so that your teams will really blend and work together very well. You want to work with each of your team individually to help to identify what are their long-term goals, personally and professionally. What are those long-term goals that they have? And when you empower them by bringing them to the discussion about what you can do to achieve those, they feel absolutely valued and motivated. It's all about developing new skills. It's all about giving people permission to think freely. And what that leads to is improved communication and a whole heap of additional confidence for them. Now, where does this become a challenge? One-on-one with your team all the time or too regularly, the time can become a challenge for you. What will happen is that some in your team might want it and others don't. So you have to be careful how you manage that. You also need to make sure that you have some coaching skills, that you have an idea about how you can empower your team rather than disempowering them. And that's when it's great to come and have some coaching with someone like myself so that I can help you with those strategies. The other thing is that in order to be a really good coaching leader, you have to have a strong commitment to it. It can't be the only style of leadership that you use, but you do have to have a strong commitment to it. Okay, so charismatic and coaching. The third one we're looking at today is bureaucratic leadership. Oh, this is tough going for some of us because it's all about going by the book. We've got to go by the book. We're following the rules. There's no flexibility. So all the time, same old, same old. I'll take your input, but only if it follows a policy. And boy, am I going to make life difficult for you by putting lots of red tape in the way. This is very hierarchical, and a lot of old organizations where there are formal titles will do this because they don't necessarily need or welcome lots of innovation. So there's much more less there's less control and there's more freedom than the autocratic one, where one person is making all of the decisions all of the time. So there's less control and there's more freedom, but there still isn't very much motivation happening there. So there's not much motivation to do more or to actually be innovative. So this style, the bureaucratic style, is not particularly suitable for young organizations or businesses that see themselves as being on a growth path, because it's uninspiring for other people. It's awesome, it's really necessary where jobs involve lots of risk or safety risk Or, if you're managing, if you're looking after the security of a whole lot of money or a whole lot of valuable things, yep, got to be bureaucratic. Maybe it can be useful too if you're managing people who are performing lots of routine work. So they must stick in those frameworks where it is definitely we're following the process. That's where bureaucratic is ideal. So which style is best? Now this is a question that I often get asked by my coaching clients. Which style is best? Here are some things for you to consider. There are 4 things here that you can consider. The first one is, what type of organization is it? What level of maturity does it have as an organization? Has it been around for a long, long time? Has it been around for a shorter period of time? Where is the organization in terms of its growth? Is it on a growth trajectory, or has it reached the peak and it's just going to sit there now and make sure that what it's doing really well? That's the first thing. The second thing is, what type of work is it that you're doing? Is it routine work where you should be following processes and policies and getting everything exactly right? Or is it creative work where you want some flexibility, you want some innovation, you want people to be free thinking, which is what we were talking about earlier with Charismatic and with coaching. So think about then, the third question to think about is, what is the level of experience and what are the skill sets of the team? Have the team been together for very long? If they're inexperienced, you're going to need to take a different approach than if they are a very experienced team. If they're very experienced, it's easier to be hands off. If they're not experienced, you may have to move into a transformational, a transactional, or a coaching style of leadership. The other thing to think about is your own personality. That's the fourth thing. What's your personality and what's going to actually suit you? What's something that's going to be easy for you to build your skills in? Because as I was saying before, if you're not naturally charismatic, it's a huge leap to suddenly become more charismatic. The most effective leaders are those who can adapt to the situation. They can adapt to the setting, who's in the room where you are. They can adapt to the dynamics that they can see going on around them. They can adapt to the people. If it's a new team or there's a whole bunch of new people in the team, it's entirely a different style of leadership than if they're real long-term teams. Some new teams are much more excited about what they're doing. Some long-term teams, not all of them, but some long-term teams can just be stuck in, oh, this is how we do things around here. So you're going to need to influence some sort of change if you're not satisfied with the productivity that comes with that way of thinking. It's also important for different stages of a business cycle, or different stages, different times of the year. It depends on what the organization is, but there will always be busy periods and slower periods. And the kind of leadership that's needed to get through those busy periods can be much more directive than the leaning back, yay, we've got through that big project, now we can relax a little bit. The important thing for you is that you're flexible. It's really important that you are fluid in your style, that you take a number of different approaches and that you're prepared to adjust them to get the best results. For example, if it's a new project or it's a brand new change that's coming and it's a big change, authoritative is what's needed. Clear direction and a compelling vision so that you can bring your team together. When a single employee is struggling with a new task, that's much more about a coaching style of leadership. Experiment. That's what I would really encourage you to do, because each one has its pros and cons. Have a think about what are your current goals as a leader and what style of leadership will help you achieve this. You want others to be able to react positively to your leadership. And the thing for you to understand is that some styles, they're just never going to work with some people. They just won't. So it's a matter of having a number of those leadership styles in your actual toolkit. Build on the ones that you know are going to be really effective and that you need to be effective. Be authentic. Be you. So don't shift too far away. You're not pretending to be something. You're actually being that, but you're doing your version of it. Yeah. Finally, and I love this one, this is really important. Seek feedback. Seek feedback from your team, seek feedback from your peers, and seek feedback from those that you see as being leaders so that you can continue to develop your own version of all of these different leadership styles, taking the best bits so that you can be authentic and you can achieve the outcomes that you're wanting as a leader. Hey, that's it for today. If you've got any questions or comments, please pop them on the platform that you're watching this on. If you watched a replay, would love it if you would put #replay. If you need to reach out to me, please do that. And I will get back to you. Hey, also, if you'd like to have a chat about individual coaching or my leadership and coaching accelerator program, there's a link on the platform. There's a link to invite you to this event, or on the advertising for this event, where you can actually make a half-hour session with me. So don't hesitate. If there's something I can help you with, no pressure. I'm really happy just to spend some time with you. Enjoy the rest of your day. Bye now.